I should have never downloaded that app. But when you're desperate, you do stupid things. My name is Nick, and 3 months ago, I was broke. Not just poor, completely broke. My rent was 2 months behind. My phone was about to get cut off. I had $12 in my bank account and a pile of bills that made me sick to look at. That's when I saw the ad pop up on my cracked phone screen. Earn fast, make $500 a day, download now. I knew it was probably fake, but what choice did I have? I clicked download. The app looked normal at first. Clean white background, simple blue buttons. It asked for my name, phone number, and address. Then it wanted access to my camera, microphone, and contacts. I hesitated for a second, but I needed money. I said yes to everything. The app's first task seemed easy. Take a photo of yourself holding your ID. I did it. Instantly, $50 appeared in my account. Real money. I could hardly believe it. The next task came an hour later. Record yourself saying your full name and birthday. Another $50. Then, take a photo of your front door. Another $50. By the end of the first day, I had made $300 doing simple tasks. I was so happy I could cry. Finally, something was going right in my life, but the tasks started getting weird. Film yourself sleeping for an hour. That felt creepy, but it paid $200. I needed the money, so I set up my phone and went to sleep. When I woke up, the money was there, but I felt sick. Something about filming myself while helpless made my skin crawl. The next task made it worse. Record yourself in the shower. $500 for that one. I stared at my phone, shaking. This was wrong, but I hadn't eaten a real meal in 3 days. My stomach was eating itself. I looked at my empty fridge, then at the $500 reward. I did it. I hated myself, but I did it. The money kept coming, but the tasks kept getting more disturbing. Film yourself crying for 10 minutes. Record yourself saying you hate your family. Take photos of your neighbor's windows. Each task paid more than the last. Each one made me feel more sick inside. But I couldn't stop. The money was the only thing keeping me alive. Then the app started giving me information about myself that it shouldn't have known. We know you visited Dr. Martin's office last Tuesday, it said in a message. We know about your medical condition. My blood went cold. I had never told the app about my doctor visits. How did it know? We know about your sister Ariana in Portland. We have her address. I hadn't mentioned Ariana to anyone in months. We barely talked. How could the app possibly know about her? That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my phone, but no new tasks came. Just a message that said, preparing special assignment, please wait. The next morning, I woke up to find photos on my phone that I didn't take. Pictures of me sleeping from different angles. But I lived alone. I had changed my locks. How was someone getting into my apartment? I called the police, but they said there was no sign of a break-in. They looked at me like I was crazy when I tried to explain about the app. When I showed them my phone, the app was gone, completely vanished, like it had never existed. But the photos were still there. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. The app was back, but now looked different. The friendly blue buttons were gone. Everything was black and red. Final assignment, it said. Worth $10,000. $10,000. That would solve all my problems. Pay my rent, buy food, get my life back on track. I opened the assignment with shaking hands. Kill your neighbor in apartment 3B. Make it look like an accident. You have 48 hours. I dropped my phone like it was on fire. This couldn't be real. This had to be some sick joke. But then I remembered all the information the app had about me. The photos taken while I slept, the things it knew that it shouldn't know. My phone kept buzzing with new messages. We have videos of you doing everything we asked. We know where Ariana lives, where she works, where her daughter goes to school. Complete the assignment or we release everything. Your face will be everywhere. Your family will see what you've become. I realized with horror what had happened. Every task, every photo, every recording, they had been building a file on me. They had enough dirt to destroy my life completely, and now they owned me. I sat on my floor and cried, real body-shaking sobs. I had sold my soul for money, and now they wanted me to become a killer. But I wasn't going to do it. I couldn't live with myself if I hurt someone innocent. I made a decision that terrified me, but I knew it was right. I took my phone to the police station and told them everything. Every disgusting task, every photo, every recording. I showed them the murder assignment. The detective listened to my story with wide eyes. She said she'd heard rumors about apps like this, but had never seen proof. They traced the app and found something horrifying. It was connected to dozens of other people, all desperate, all being blackmailed. Some had already done terrible things. The investigation took months. They found the people running the app, a group of criminals who targeted broke, desperate people. They would slowly trap victims with small tasks, then use the evidence to force them into bigger crimes. I had to testify in court. My face was in the news. People knew what I had done, the disgusting tasks I had performed for money. It was humiliating and painful, but I was alive, and I was free. The criminals got long prison sentences. The app was shut down permanently. Other victims came forward, and we helped each other heal. I learned that being poor doesn't mean you have to sell your dignity. There are better ways to ask for help. Food banks, social services, family, friends, people who will help without asking you to give up pieces of your soul. I still have nightmares about those photos, those tasks, that final assignment. But I'm proud that when they asked me to cross the line into real evil, I found the strength to say no. Money problems are temporary, but some things, once you do them, stay with you forever. I'm working now at a regular job. It doesn't pay much back, but it's honest work. And every night I sleep peacefully, knowing that no one is watching me, no one owns me. I'm free. My name is Sierra Jenkins, and I work as an accountant at Westfield Shopping Mall. I never thought a simple train ride home would become the worst night of my life. It was Thursday evening, and I was exhausted after a long day of checking numbers and fixing computer problems. My car had broken down that morning, so I had to take the late train from downtown back to my apartment. The 9:30 p.m. train wasn't crowded, which I was thankful for. I found a seat in the middle of car 3 and pulled out my phone to text my roommate that I'd be home soon. That's when I noticed him sitting 4 rows behind me. A tall man with messy dark hair and clothes that looked like he'd been wearing them for days. His hands were dirty, and he kept looking around nervously. Something about him made my skin crawl. The way he kept checking his watch and looking toward the doors like he was expecting trouble. He seemed nervous and jumpy, but I told myself I was just tired and seeing things that weren't there. The train pulled out of the station right on time. I tried to focus on my phone, scrolling through messages to pass the time. I didn't think much about the strange man until everything went wrong. 20 minutes into the ride, the train made an unscheduled stop. The lights flickered and the conductor announced over the speaker, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor delay. We'll be moving again shortly." That's when everything changed. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer and closer. The man behind me suddenly stood up, his face pale with panic. He looked out the window and cursed under his breath. Then his eyes swept across the car, looking for something or someone to help him. "You," he said, pointing at me. "Come here. Now." I looked around, confused and scared. Why was he talking to me? I had never seen this man before in my life. I said, "Come here." He moved toward me quickly, desperation in his voice. I tried to get up and run toward the front of the car, but he grabbed my arm with a grip so tight it felt like my bones might break. His fingernails dug into my skin, and I could smell something terrible on him, something metallic and wrong. "Sit down and shut up," he hissed in my ear. "If you scream or try anything stupid, I'll hurt you bad. I need you to act like we know each other. I was completely confused and terrified. This was a complete stranger who had just grabbed me out of nowhere. He forced me back into my seat and sat right next to me. Up close, I could see dark stains on his shirt that looked like dried blood. His hands had scratches and cuts all over them. There was something stuck under his fingernails that looked like skin. The police sirens were right outside now. Through the window, I could see flashing red and blue lights. Police cars surrounded the train. "This is all wrong," he whispered, gripping my wrist so hard I had to bite my lip to keep from crying out. I just needed to get out of the city. I didn't plan for the police to be this close. "I don't understand," I managed to say. "I don't even know who you are." He laughed bitterly. "My name is Lucas Vega. 3 days ago, I did something terrible. I killed my neighbors, both of them, and now I need you to help me get away from the police." My heart started pounding so hard I thought it might explode. I had heard about the murders. A husband and wife found dead in their home, stabbed over 20 times each. The police said it was the most brutal crime they'd ever seen. "The old man begged me to stop," Lucas continued, his voice getting excited. "His wife tried to run, but I caught her in the hallway. The sound she made when I— Stop," I whispered. "Please stop." But he kept talking, describing every horrible detail. How he had planned it for weeks. How he watched them through their windows. How he enjoyed every second of their pain. The police were boarding the train now. I could hear them moving through the cars, checking each passenger. Lucas quickly moved closer to me, putting his arm around my shoulders to make it look like we were together. It was all an act to fool the police. "When they get to us, you're going to smile and act like we're dating," he said. "If you don't, I'll hurt you right here in front of everyone. I've got nothing left to lose." 2 police officers entered our car. They were checking IDs and asking questions. Getting closer and closer to where we sat, Lucas's grip tightened. I could feel something sharp pressing against my ribs through his jacket. "A knife. Remember what I told you," he breathed in my ear. The officers reached our row. "Good evening, folks. Can I see some identification?" Lucas smiled and handed over a fake ID. "Of course, officer. Is there some kind of problem?" "We're looking for someone. A dangerous man who may have boarded this train." The officer looked at me. "Ma'am, your ID, please." I reached for my purse with trembling hands. This was my chance. I could tell them. I could mouth the words or write something on paper, but the knife pressed harder against my side, and I was terrified of what Lucas might do. I handed over my ID with shaking fingers. "You folks traveling together?" the officer asked. Lucas squeezed my shoulder. "Yes, sir. My girlfriend and I are heading home after dinner." He kissed my cheek, and his touch made me sick. The officer looked at me expectantly. I opened my mouth to speak, to scream, to say anything that would save me, but all that came out was, "Yes, we're together." The words felt like poison in my mouth. The officers moved on to the next row. Lucas relaxed slightly, but the knife stayed pressed against my ribs. "Good," he whispered. "You helped me. Now I need you to keep helping me until I can get somewhere safe." The police finished checking the entire train and got off. The train started moving again. I had missed my chance to escape, and now I was trapped with a killer who was using me to stay free. "Where are we going?" I asked, though I was afraid of the answer. "Somewhere quiet. Somewhere I can finish what I started with you." He told me about his plans for when we reached the next stop. He described what he was going to do to me in the same excited voice he had used to talk about murdering his neighbors. Every word made me feel sicker. My wrist was turning purple where he gripped it. My ribs ached from the constant pressure of the knife, but worse than the physical pain was the growing certainty that I was going to die. The train began to slow down as we approached the next station. Lucas stood up and pulled me with him. "We're getting off here. You're going to walk with me like nothing's wrong. If you try to run or call for help, I'll use this knife." But as we walked toward the door, I noticed something. Lucas was limping. His left leg seemed injured, and he was trying to hide it. Maybe he had hurt himself while running from the police. The train stopped, and the doors opened. As we stepped onto the mostly empty platform, I saw my opportunity. There was a security guard near the station entrance, about 50 feet away. I pretended to stumble and fell to my knees. When Lucas bent down to pull me up, I grabbed a handful of gravel from the platform and threw it in his eyes. He screamed and let go of me, clawing at his face. I ran toward the security guard as fast as I could. "Help me!" I screamed. "That man has a knife! He's trying to kill me!" The security guard called for backup while I collapsed behind him, sobbing and shaking. Within minutes, police cars surrounded the station. They found Lucas trying to wash the gravel out of his eyes at a water fountain, the bloody knife still in his jacket. I had to go to the hospital for my injuries and spend hours talking to police and lawyers. But I was alive. I had survived. Lucas Vega was sentenced to life in prison without parole for the murders of his neighbors and for kidnapping and assaulting me. During the trial, I learned that he had chosen me completely at random that night on the train, just someone to use as cover to escape the police. I still take the train sometimes, but never alone and never at night. I always sit near the front where the conductor can see me, and I always trust my instincts now. If something feels wrong, it probably is. That night taught me that monsters are real and they look just like regular people, but it also taught me that I'm stronger than I thought. When it mattered most, I found the courage to fight back. The fire crackled softly in front of me, sending dancing shadows across the trees. I pulled my jacket tighter and smiled. This was exactly what I needed. 3 days alone in the mountains, away from work stress and city noise. Just me, my tent, and my favorite playlist. I put my headphones on and closed my eyes. The music filled my head while the fire warmed my face. Perfect. That's when I felt it. Someone watching me. I opened my eyes slowly, hoping I was wrong. But there he was. A man sitting right across from me on the other side of the fire. Just sitting there. Staring at me. My heart jumped into my throat. I yanked off my headphones so fast they flew into the dirt. "Hi there," he said with a smile that made my skin crawl. His teeth were yellow and crooked. His clothes were dirty and torn. He smelled terrible, like he hadn't washed in weeks. "Who are you?" I managed to whisper. My voice came out shaky and weak. "Just a fellow camper," he said. His eyes never left my face. They were small and dark, like a rat's eyes. "Hope you don't mind me joining you." But I did mind. I minded a lot. This was supposed to be my private camping spot. I had hiked for hours to get here, far from any trail. How did he find me? I was actually getting ready for bed, I lied, hoping he would leave. He laughed. It was a nasty sound that made my stomach turn. "Oh, don't worry about me. I'm a night person. Love sitting by fires. Love watching people." The way he said, "watching people," made every hair on my body stand up. I looked around. We were miles from the nearest road. No cell phone signal. No one knew exactly where I was camping. I had wanted to get away from everything. Now I was trapped with this creepy stranger. "Nice tent," he said, pointing at my orange camping tent behind me. "Looks expensive. Bet you got lots of nice things in there." My hands started shaking. All my money was in my backpack in that tent, my car keys too, everything. "Look, I think there's been a mistake," I said, trying to sound brave. "This is my campsite. Maybe you should find your own spot." His smile got bigger, showing more of those horrible yellow teeth. "Oh, I like this spot just fine. Real private, no one around for miles." He leaned forward. "No one to hear anything." My blood turned to ice. The way he said it, like a threat. Like he was planning something terrible. I started to stand up, but he raised his hand. "Sit down," he said. His voice was different now. Harder. Mean. I sat back down. My legs felt like jelly. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a long, sharp knife. The firelight made the blade shine red and orange. "This is my favorite camping tool," he said, turning it slowly so I could see every inch of it. "Very useful for lots of things." I couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be real. "Please," I whispered, "take whatever you want. Just don't hurt me." He tilted his head like a curious dog. "What makes you think I want your things?" He pointed the knife at me. "Maybe I want something else." Tears started running down my face. I thought about my family, my friends. Would they ever know what happened to me? "I like watching people when they're scared," he said. "Their faces change. Their breathing gets fast, just like yours is doing right now." He was right. I was breathing so fast I felt dizzy. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. "Stand up," he ordered, waving the knife. I stood up on shaking legs. He stood up too. He was taller than I thought. Much taller. "Walk toward your tent." Slowly. I took one tiny step backward, then another. He followed, always keeping the same distance between us. The knife never moved from pointing at me. My foot hit something hard. I glanced down. It was my hiking stick, a heavy wooden stick I used for balance on tough trails. Without thinking, I grabbed it and swung as hard as I could. It hit him right in the head. He screamed and fell sideways, dropping the knife. Blood poured from his forehead. I didn't wait to see if he was okay. I ran. I grabbed my backpack from the tent and sprinted into the dark forest. Branches scratched my face and arms, rocks cut through my shoes, but I didn't stop running. Behind me, I could hear him yelling, "Get back here! You can't hide from me! I know these woods!" I ran faster. My lungs burned. My legs felt like they were on fire. But the sound of his voice kept me moving. Then I heard the worst sound of all. Footsteps. Running footsteps. Getting closer. I looked back and saw a flashlight beam cutting through the trees. He was following me, and he was fast. I jumped behind a big rock and tried to be quiet. My breathing sounded so loud. Too loud. The footsteps got closer. The flashlight beam moved back and forth, searching. "I can smell your fear," his voice called out. "You can't hide from me forever." I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from crying out loud. The beam passed right over my hiding spot. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed he wouldn't see me. The footsteps stopped. Everything went quiet except for my racing heart. Then I heard his voice right next to the rock. "Found you." I opened my eyes. He was standing 3 feet away, grinning that terrible grin. Blood covered half his face from where I hit him. He looked like a monster. "That really hurt," he said, touching his bloody forehead. Now I'm angry. He raised the knife high above his head. I could see it shining in his flashlight beam. This was it. This was how I was going to die. But then something amazing happened. I heard voices. Human voices calling out in the distance. "Hello? Anyone out there? We saw your fire." The man's face changed. He looked scared now. He turned toward the voices, then back at me. "This isn't over," he whispered. Then he ran off into the dark woods. I stayed hidden until the voices got closer. Then I saw them, 3 hikers with bright flashlights and warm smiles. "Are you okay?" one of them asked. "We saw your campfire from the next ridge over. Thought we'd come say hello." I burst into tears and told them everything. They helped me pack up my campsite and hiked out with me that very night. We called the police as soon as we got cell phone signal. They never found the man. But they did find the knife, covered in his blood from where I hit him. The police said I was very brave and very lucky. I never forgot that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the woods isn't a wild animal or getting lost. Sometimes it's another human being.